Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to round 12 of the 2022 World Cup. I have just lost, I think, 4 or 5 games in a row. So I'm bringing myself back to my my state of mind. It's not very good. I think I was keeping it together. I mean, Chelsea Alex was there; he would know. I think I was keeping it together, like socially, but like inside, I was just so angry. Binex says hi YouTube, but I was just I was like really upset. I was 5-6. Um, and I'm sitting down to play John Karris, who's um definitely a player who I should normally beat without much difficulty, but he sometimes just plays extremely good Scrabble, and it tends to be against me. So again, just like with Chloe, most of me was like, this is not going to be a walk in the park. And then another part of me is like, but it should be, sort of. I was like at cross purposes with my demons. Um and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna play Scrabble. I'm just gonna play as best as I can. WTF was there too, saying I was a mess. WTF saw me every time I walked to the bathroom from the playing room. WTF was just chilling on the hotel couches watching the live stream broadcast. Says I looked a mess. Maybe when I walked out of the playing room and thought nobody was watching, I just like started just like cursing or something. I don't remember. Anyways, John is first to play, and this is indeed his opening rack. And he plays Praline pretty quickly. And so if I thought that I was going to have a hard time against John before his play, I knew now that this was not going to be easy. It is very hard to come back from an opening bingo against anybody in a top division. So this is my opening rack, and saw a couple plays: Alamo, Mula, Lordoma, Malodor. Alamo here I didn't really consider. But I settled on Mula. It seemed to have the best equity. And although it did disrupt a lot of the floating letters, um, I thought that I had learned from the previous game I played against Chalcedonics, that I shouldn't sacrifice too much points and leave, to try and keep things super open after an opening play. Oh, yeah, we discussed this. We discussed this game. I didn't do any like computer analysis of this game, but yeah, we did go to Indian food for lunch that day, and I asked Chalcedonics what he thought about this move, and he said, "Yeah, Mula looks fine." So I'm not gonna keep simulating because my brain plus Chalcedonics' brain, we know what's up. Um, yeah. Yeah, I want some Indian food too. Why would you guys do this? I think I'm gonna get pizza after this stream though. John makes a nice defensive play of Airy for 18. This simultaneously blocks the Praline's hook, and doesn't really create anything in return on the 5 row, because it's very hard to overlap the R and the Y, particularly. So after 2 moves, I'm down 68 points. And this is the danger of not playing proactively after a bingo. Although it might still be accurate to play Moolah, I can get into a lot of situations like this that John could have been sacrificing points and leave to make a play like this, and an engine analysis isn't going to figure that out. Engine's going to assume John just plays for points and leave, rather than making such a defensive play. Airy is a really great play with pretty much anything. It's just so hard to do anything after Airy. So here I had A, D, E, E, I. Oops, that's wrong. A, D, E, I, O, T. So I drew E, E, I, O, T. And I'm just like, shit, this is pretty bad. Can I maybe play a 9-letter word through the R and the N? Apparently not. And I ended up playing Opiated. I actually looked at this game briefly now that I think about it. I looked at this game on my laptop briefly, and I think I stopped. I might have stopped here because Opiated, I think, is a mistake, and I was kind of upset at myself. I think playing something like just Opiate or Oroid might be better here. There are a ton of options, by the way, in this position, so I'm not going to bore everybody with an extremely long attempt to use the engine. Since I already also looked at this briefly, I think that Opiate or Oroid did better on a simulation than Opiated. That doesn't mean Opiated is the wrong play. But the reasons for playing Opiated were kind of weird. I don't really know. You're not bored, Jelamoka, stop lying. I don't really know. The reason I played this is I just thought that if I played Opiate, he's just gonna overlap. So having the D hook is pretty useless, and scoring some extra points I thought was the right idea here, but not really sure. I think I probably should have kept a consonant on my leave. Yeah, but there are also options that fish like OE, but I think I have to do something to open the bottom of the board in this position. It's possible Odia is okay. I think this play did decently as well in a simulation, because it kind of leads to openings later on, like maybe an underlap of Odia, maybe some hook to Aura. I think maybe Toya was an option I overlooked as well. Only scoring 13 points, but setting up the D hook on Aura and not giving too much back to opponent. But yeah, tons of options here. Very hard to figure out what to do. And yeah, really, really bad case scenario here of Rex happens, and I'm still down 80 points, and to my OE, not keeping a consonant turned into quite the disaster as I drew Guiee, and the only play worth considering, I think, is Renege, keeping IO. But this play is horrible because it sets up a huge scoring spot at h12. So the moment you see that you can play Renege, but you see where the E goes, you need to discard it as a candidate play, which I will do symbolically here. OG is not worth playing either. Here you just need to exchange. Hello, Liari. Welcome in. And John continues to play masterfully and defensively and plays Kerr, not opening anything new, and doing a really good job creating this this growth on Opiated that really just destroys counterplay. My rack improves slightly. I draw 2 consonants. And yeah, I could play something like feed here. but I ended up playing EAU. And again, this is a position where I am not really sure if I made the right decision. This is a huge point sacrifice over feed. And after feed, there's pretty much a guarantee that the 15 row will be opened at some point. And I could also play something like a foul to score a little bit better. But I wanted to make a play that opened a lane that's sort of hard to block on the 4 row. The problem is this is very short-sighted because the thing that EAU does that's really bad is it pretty much destroys the top right of the board. Since the X is gone, there's no longer a hook to EAU. It's very unlikely that the U will be overlapped with an N or an M to make a play that goes eastward. And this lane, I don't have really anything. I basically am banking on drawing an S with the AU. So I think this is my first real mistake of the game. So yeah, I probably should have played feed here or fed. And just kept scoring a little bit. I just couldn't accept such a terrible fate of leaving ALOU after so many turns of trying to balance my rack. So I think I made a mistake here with EAU. Question in chat: if you're opening the board, aren't you opening it for your opponent too? Yes. So opening the board, you need to be a little bit careful. When you're behind, you want to open the board to bingos and threaten to come back into the game that way. But if you open the board to too much, you're opening up scoring spots gratuitously for your opponent, which is not what you want to do. So normally you do want to open things up to try and get a bingo down before your opponent because you're at a disadvantage and you kind of need that. You need things to roll your way, but yeah, it's also not so simple. So EAU comes down for 13. I think this was pretty bad. John follows up with what did he play here? He played Flaw. For some reason I don't see how he did that. Yes. I remember now. Oh yes, okay. Part of the reason I played EAU was I keep the F for like this exact sort of play. Which actually I was pretty much going to play there, but John drew the other F. And he was able to play there. But yeah, that was part of the reason I kept the F. To next turn maybe play a 4 or 5 letter word with fairy. I forgot about that aspect of my play. So he plays flaw, and I was gonna play, I think, flag, which is not a great play anyway. But yeah, here's where I make the I think the worst mistake of all. I don't play fold, and instead I play of for 12, just trying to open a lane on the 3rd row. But again, I'm sacrificing so many points. I'm down 130. I just need to score at this point. Yeah, this was just I have no idea what to do. I feel like I just lose sort of play. But I definitely should have just played fold for 28. Even though it's a word, it's a word that signifies that I'm giving up, whereas of is not a word that signifies that, but it's still probably the best play. And yeah, what to say now? John plays Vino for 21. I have this rack, and I finally score a little bit. I play nay, just trying to reopen. I felt like I was lucky enough to get a play that actually opened the top right of the board that I'd already closed down. So I went ahead with it. Again, I could maybe just play held 13A, but I felt the need to bingo multiple times, and to bingo multiple times I need to open parts of the board that are not yet open. John plays quid, and I bingo finally. So Hildings, so the bingo in this position, and now I get to breathe a little bit. Now I'm down 71 points, and there might be a chance for me. John plays tight for 27, and I draw into a very high scoring play of Toge, so I play that. There's not much else to consider. John plays Jibs, yes. So further clamping down on the board. Now Praline's plays are no longer very likely. He's continuing to score. So yeah, it just seems like John is finding all the right plays and feeling really like I'm gonna fold. So here I could have played tightest to score 40 points. I decided to play beak to create an S hook that might be hard for him to deal with, and try to bingo. Again, it's hard to say whether I should do this or whether I should just keep scoring something like tightest. But I felt, again, that I needed to be proactive in this position. Notably, bake is a lot easier to hook and block things through than beak. So I was hoping that John was just stuck with some unworkable letters. And he was not. John actually did something here that actually really annoyed me. John puts down the G, the A, the Y. And I'm like, okay. Then like 5 seconds later, he puts down the nose. And I told him after the game how frustrating that was. And he said that he didn't notice that he did that, which just like, I don't know. If you don't notice that you do something like that, I honestly think he did notice, and I think he did that on purpose, just to further frustrate or intimidate me. He is a very intimidating player, maybe unbeknownst to himself. But if he doesn't know that he's doing that, it's sort of like there must be some subconscious workings of his mind then. Like, I don't know. Like, this has happened before. This used to not bother me, by the way. This happened once against Kenji. Kenji was playing my clubmate Jason Lee, and Jason put down ENG and then added the LISH to ENG like 5 seconds later. And Kenji got super pissed off. So since then, I was just like, oh, wow, okay. Maybe I should be upset too. And that's probably why I was upset here. No, I was mostly upset because I mean, the game is lost now. I'm down 150 points. And yeah, there's nothing else to really talk about. I draw the Z and I play Bozo. I have higher scoring plays again, and I forego them because I have the last A. So I'm setting up a huge scoring spot at H12 for letters I already have, like mast is 45 points, and I'm also setting up a bingo lane, but it's still pretty simple for him to block if he wants to. But yeah, he does. He plays cured. to block the bingos. And here I played Kip to set up another S hook, and again I still have these 45 pointers. And yeah, there is another S unseen, but he doesn't have it. I don't think he plays a low. And yeah, I didn't have a bingo anyway, but I guess I decided to cash in on my setup finally. Played masked for 45. And the bag is now empty. And he has a rack of tunners. And yeah, it just seemed like a slow roll. And it's sort of like in poker where so he played Titans here. There are better plays than Titans, even though Titans is 40 points. Because Titans does not go out in 2 turns. So it allows me to create a sequence that goes out in 2. But here I should play cost to score some extra points. Instead, I played COD for 12. And he played John, which is the best play, and I went out with verse. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, like it's a slow roll to do what he did, and it's hard for me to believe he didn't know what he was doing. But that's sort of the thing with poker too. Oftentimes, it does appear like people that slow roll aren't aware that they're doing it. But then you have the response like, how could you not be aware? How could you not be aware of that? So yeah, it's an interesting discussion, but I think most of all, I was just so done with Scrabble at this point. I was 5-7. This game was extremely difficult to navigate, but I think I did not navigate it well, and as a result, wasn't able to win it from an early deficit. But yeah, I think that was the reason that Nosegay really put me off so much. But I did tell John after the game that he did that and that he should try not to do that. But hey, he's allowed. Honestly, it's totally within the rules to do that. It's just an etiquette thing. I think I looked at this game actually before. I just forgot. It was one of the games that I was just like, what was I supposed to do? But I think I know what I was supposed to do. I think I was supposed to not play opiated and not play EAU, not play OF, and then I might have been okay. So that's round 12. Hope you enjoyed. I didn't. But yeah, being 5-7 was brutal. I now needed to win absolutely like every game except like 2 to win the tournament. And even then, yeah, it was an uphill battle. So catch you all in round 13.